So I've watched a film, and that film, as Gadget would say, was Hocus Pocus. I watched
Hocus Pocus.
Hocus Pocus 2.
I watched
this
it
has
today.
been getting... You watched it today?
Hocus
Kids, yeah.
Pocus.
So this has been getting fairly mild to poor reviews. And I went into it possibly with the benefit of not having seen the original recently. And I don't actually remember that much of it either.
There's a cat in it.
I remember the cat. That's all I remember, really.
Yeah, that's all I remember.
Yeah, Binks. There has been a lot of hype around it, I think, like especially among my goth friends. I think a lot of people do consider it like a cult classic, don't they? For some reason, like it never was for me, really.
No.
But I went back and I looked over the reviews of the original, and actually, it scored more or less the same as this one is now. It's just kind of sort of mildish reviews. I actually enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. It was just silly. There was a little bit of an emotional investment, but it was nothing too stressful. The thing is, I mean, at the end of the day, it's a kid's film. Like, what are you actually expecting from this? You know, I think there's going to be a lot of parents like my age that saw the original, and they're going to be watching it with their kids this Halloween, and they're probably going to have a good time. So it's set in present day, so it's been 30 years since the original movie released.
Fuck off, it's been 30 years.
Yep.
Yeah.
Fuck off.
And 30 years in the film has passed as well since the events of the original. It brings back the Sanderson sisters, a couple of familiar faces, and it introduces a new cast of teenagers. One thing to note is that the Sanderson sisters are significantly less evil this time round. Like, there's no child murdering. So the film kind of starts by going back and introducing them as teenagers.
Oh, fucking Hocus Pocus has gone all woke. Ugh.
Hocus Pocus. Come on, Hocus Pocus. You missed
Hocus
it.
Pocus!
Oh, fucking yes!
Well, actually, it's funny you should say that. Like, I don't want to use that term, it's gone woke, because that's just stupid. But
I was joking, by the way.
Hocus Pocus!
It does. But it does give them a sympathetic backstory kind of thing. It sort of introduces them as women who were basically ahead of their time and didn't want to accept the societal norms of obeying men, which kind of disappointed me, really. Not that they weren't obeying men, but I don't make them victims of their own situation. Just make them bad for the sake of being bad. It's way more fun. Like, you know,
They made deals with the devil. They're evil witches.
They're witches, and I've said it so many times on this podcast. Like, it's easy to have a female protagonist because everyone roots for the underdog, but what you don't have is that many female antagonists that are just evil for the sake of being evil. That's what I want to see. That's what would represent me more.
Well, the thing is though, when they tried to do that, when they tried to do female antagonists that are evil for the sake of being evil, that's how you get Kingsman: The Golden Circle.
Fucking hell, yes.
There is an actual, like, it's a movement in Hollywood that characters are not allowed to have negative traits anymore. Everybody has to be nice. I got a note from a script that it's the next film that we're making from an American studio.
It's Matrix, the dance.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And the note was, this particular character is narcissistic and misogynistic, and can you tone him down? And I'm like, he's the villain. Like,
yeah. What more do you want?
I don't want to make the villain sympathetic. I want you to see him get his comeuppance and really enjoy it. Like, that's the entire.
It's not a World War II film, is it?
But it's a horror set in the 70s when, you know, men were a lot more misogynistic and narcissistic and stuff. But it's just, I see it across the board now in cinema where it's like, oh, we can't give this person any unlikable traits. And it's like, there's fun in that. Even if your good guys or your good gals are unsympathetic at the start, you can put them on a redemptive journey. Whereas if they're sympathetic from the start, where can you go with them? You know, so it's a real problem.
Even she's a big example recently. Even Thanos was given sympathetic traits.
Yeah.
Even though he wanted to wipe out
Space
half
Nazi.
of the universe. Yeah. Even he was given moments of like,
he got his own film.
Sympathize with him, and you know he does love his daughter and all that kind of thing. They tried to make him.
Yeah, it's a weird one. It's like
is.
There's so many films like Jim Carrey's Liar Liar, and like, you know, if they released it now, it'd be Crier Crier. And it's like, if you don't make him kind of douchebag at the start, or whatever the word should be, is like, what journey can you go on with them?
Right.
Yeah.
And it's just fun to have baddies as well.
Yeah.
I do love a classic, like 80s, 90s, early 90s, just a baddie. Absolutely.
But
Twat.
But I mean, going back to Hocus Pocus, I think also it struggles a little bit that it is kind of a rehash of the original story, more or less, but a little bit watered down. It hasn't really adapted to the tones to suit a more modern audience. It's like they're trying to. It's a difficult thing to do to satisfy the original fans and also appeal to a modern audience, but we know that it can happen because we've seen it with Cobra Kai. We've seen it arguably with Scream. Like, I thought Scream did well to appeal to, the two generations of people that are watching it.
More about that later.
But I think, like, in terms of the critique of the film that I've been reading, I think there's maybe a conversation to be had about critiquing such the finer points of a kids' film quite as hard as some reviewers do. Like, it's a fun film. It's fine. Your kids, the original's out there, but your kids don't want to watch a 30-year-old film and relive your glory days. Maybe watch.
My kids love Hocus Pocus 1.
I'm
terrible taste.
Yeah,
I'm a bit older than you guys. I'm 47, and I was working in a video shop.
You're not older than Biggie.
There you go. Well, when the original Hocus Pocus came out, I was working in the video shop, and I remember it very clearly. And it wasn't a classic by any means. It was fine. People rented it and they brought it back and they went, yeah, it was fine. It was fun. And it's just...
I don't remember hating it. I just...
Nostalgia just does that thing in your mind where you remember it much better than it actually was at the time, apart from the things that are classics. But I remember Hocus Pocus very clearly as being, yeah, it's fine. And then over time it's like, oh, that's such a classic. And it's like, no, you just loved your childhood. It was
absolutely
fun.
rose tinted glasses.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, no, I thought it was fine. It's not really deserving of the hate that it's getting, I don't think.
No, I thought it was fine. Like, it's on par with the first. It tells the same joke. It does that thing with like legacy sequels where it's like, oh, remember this from the first one, but we're doing it again, but with modern technology. And it's like, you already did that last time. You already did a possession number. You already did
Is there a cat in it?
Yeah.
No,
there is, but not in the same manner.
I'm not bothered then. Not watching it.
But what it does do, which can I spoil this joke?
we can always.
It's up to you. If you want to do this to people, it's down to you, really, isn't it?
Remember in the first one where the whole thing about is a virgin must light the candle. When you're a kid, a virgin is never. You don't know what a virgin is when you watch that as a 7 or 8 year old. You just kind of go.
I just thought it was a can of pop.
Yeah, it's like there's a joke in this where it's specifically brought up by a child, but they just basically say, he says, oh, a virgin has to light it. He's like, what's a virgin? And it's just right there, like on the screen.
Someone go like this.
Yeah, so for us adults, we were kind of like, oh, like that. But my kids just didn't pick up on it and say anything. But I just thought, yeah, it's.
If my kids asked, I'd say it's the internet provider. They're actually
just bringing it up. And also, Midler looks exactly the same.
Yeah.
But they've tried to make Sarah Jessica Parker look younger with makeup, but you can't hide the hands.
That's impossible.
Oh, I didn't look at the hands.
My daughter said...
She still look like a shoe?
My daughter said, she doesn't look... She looks different. She looks way older. Like, she looks weird with that makeup on, but her hands are all veiny.
It's because she's had so much sex in the city. So she's like, fucked up.
So, but they tried to be clever with the whole, like, virgin thing and that kind of stuff, but it's...
Can I happily give it a miss?
It's fine. Yeah. Like, kids liked it, but...
Fuck kids. I know.